Hello senators and legates. Today I will show you the first battle from our YouTube tournament hosted by Caesar's forum. I will leave a link to their Discord in the description. We were formed up in teams of 3, 2 content creators and 1 veteran player. For this battle we have Pope John Paul and Andre Lemgard as the YouTubers, with the infamous Gio D as their veteran player. Those will be our enemies. I believe Andre Lemgard took over for the Terminator who originally was supposed to fight, but I'm not sure though. On our side we have Emperor 1 Kandai as my fellow content creator, with Nightingale as our brilliant team leader and the veteran. We had a few rules to follow. You can pause and take a look at them for yourself if you'd like. After that we had to pick a culture group, and of course with our lovely Kimbroz campaign going on, I convinced our team to go Germanic, with me as the Kimbroz, Emperor as the Swabos, and last but certainly not least, Nightingale as the Lugos. We had the following army, and you should probably know by now that I had to pick any units with the stock ability. There is no doubt about it. Our opponents chose the Thracian culture group, and through them the Odrysians, Getae and Ardii. We can't see their army till after the battle, so let's just go straight into it. Okay everyone, welcome to this epic 3v3 battle here. We are now finally on the field of battle. And this is basically how we line up. We have a few scout units up here in the forest, and we have basically the rest of our formation over here. Our plan was that we would move up and we would hope the main engagement would happen in this forest, and thus my units along with Nightingale was supposed to hold this area, while Emperor, he would go around this side here of the river and then cross over and just hit their flank, crush them, and then just steamroll the rest of them. We had our scouts out here just to make sure that they didn't do any shenanigans and that we would know about it beforehand at least. And it actually made sure that we could actually see the enemy army. Let's just start moving forward actually, because it's going to be a while before we actually engage. We could see the enemy all the way up here. Don't mind the bad graphics. We have a lot of units on the field today, so we need the bad graphics just for it to run decently at least. So you can already see here, like, it's not perfect, but we're just slowly moving around up here to see if we can find the enemy. Because at this very moment we only thought we could see 2 of them. We have Gio as the Ardii and we have Andre Lemgard as the Getae. But we couldn't actually see Pope John Paul as the Thracians, or we didn't realize he was here. But with all them over on this side here, which is basically the edge of the map, we expected him to be around here somewhere or in this forest. But if he was all the way over in this forest here, it would be over already. So at this very moment, we are just scouting around. Are we moving now? We are sending out even more scouts to check out this forest here to find the other player. Because like, that is the most important thing. You can see we have even more cavalry over here. Emperor sending over his light cavalry as well. And then other than that, we have Emperor just moving around on the flank here, hoping to get up here in a decent position to make a proper ambush on the enemy. We make a slow push forward here with our Cambrian naked spearmen. Basically the intent for these guys were to stay in the open somewhere, because they can stay hidden everywhere basically because of their stalk ability. So the enemy, they would probably expect us to keep ourselves inside the forest, but once they arrive here we can possibly make a swift attack here, just slow them down, take them out with our naked guys. We do also have these Kimbri sword warriors who are basically perfect because they can scare the enemy, they're immune to fear, and they're impetuous, so they can do a lot of great damage, where we're gonna have the numbers advantage to win more easily. And now we are slowly realizing all of the players are on this side here. We can see more of the Thracian army. It is Pope John Paul here with his Thracian Thorio infantry and all of this. So we are very happy about this situation right here. And we pull back with our cavalry just a tiny bit because they are pushing quite fast actually. They are running as it stands at this moment. Probably stopping here. But they were advancing quite fast for our liking, so we just pulled them back. Basically just keeping an eye on them for now, while we were pushing into position. And by now, they could actually see our units. I had my Kimbroz veteran swordsman right here, right in the open. So that means they will most likely start turning the formation. You can see here that Andre Lemgard, he's already moving over his units to confront us. They probably expect us to be over here somewhere near this river. But I'm not sure, because like they have all of these units over here. Kind of looks like an oblique order from them, just like ours actually, in a way. But right now we're just trying to form up here inside the forest, bring up the spearmen in here, and then use our naked swordsmen right here in the open, as I said before. Because they will basically be a hidden flank because they don't know they are there yet. And they won't know. They think they can see everything with these guys being there. So they would think that's all we have in this area. But we even have the cavalry moving around because they have stalk as well. So they can, like, that's why we have them up here, because they're perfect for scouting. The only thing that could be better for them is actually their speed, because they're only at 7. They could be at 8, but this means they're also quite strong enough to stay in a fight if they get engaged. We can see here now we are finally pulling back to our main force here, because the Gitaean horse archers, they are pushing us back. They are way too strong for us to deal with on our own. Right now our main problem was that Emperor, he might be seen crossing the river, but apparently he figured out that he wouldn't be seen, so he could just move over freely and still be unnoticed all the way out here. So far I am the only one. Maybe they knew about Nightingale as well, but I think they have realized we are over here now and they are slowly moving around. But as you can see, we are in a very good position here. Basically our entire army is facing their right flank, whereas Gio and most of their shock infantry are all the way back here, far away from the battle. This basically means that if we can engage them, we will get into a perfect situation. We see their horse archers here and they are slowly pushing forward, meaning that we will try to pull back. But I believe it is around here somewhere. We will soon be spotted and then just engage. We are probably pushing forward right now. As you can see, at this very moment the balance of power is slightly in their favor, but it's not really that reliable. It's all about the tactics here. Emperor, he's slowly moving forward as well now with all his infantry and skirmishers trying to get up here. So far he has his pikemen, his Marcomanni pikemen over here, helping to defend this flank, because we know they are supposed to help us our center while he will do all the killing. And this is basically where we find the first targets. They are pretty much on their own out here, the Dacian chosen spearmen and Dacian chosen phalanx. Or so we think, at least. They will get reinforcement. But we are gonna start engaging over here now. The first charge here from Emperor straight into the spearmen. He's gonna pull out his cavalry as well. And we are basically now rushing forward to engage the enemy. Because like the Thracian player Pope, he is now pushing forward his units to kind of counter his. Basically trying to take them out. But he actually have his whole army out here, which they still don't know. But what they do know is the whereabouts of our units, and they are pushing forward fast now. They are trying to get up here, hoping to engage the enemy as swiftly as possible. I want to try to use the Cavalry Sword Warriors to gain the upper advantage and just break their morale swiftly. Furthermore, all their shock infantry that's now moving towards this area over here where the main engagement is going to be, I would attempt to slow them down through the use of our naked spearmen. We could possibly have kept them back for a bit longer, but I decided not to, just push forward, use our javelins and get some free kills here. And then hopefully just pin them down for long enough. Just like you can see here, Thracian soldier infantry, they are quite strong. In the center we are basically surrounding them, getting the small numbers advantage everywhere. You can see it over here with all the cavalry. We have all the units. We have all these minor engagements in here. We have our Kimbroz heavy spears. We have the Kimbroz nobles going in now. They're already doing a good job. Kimbroz heavy spearmen again. Starting to fight over here. And basically now we see we have the advantage over here, and we are expecting them, the RDI and the Thracian Players, to basically focus down our side now. So my main job from now on is basically to slow down the enemy. That's why we have the pikemen over here as well. They're gonna form up here as a kind of a flank. And I should probably have fallen back with my Kimbroz veteran swordsman here, but instead I just tried to contest this area while they tried to deploy along with my cavalry. Here in the center you can see again our naked spearmen. They are pinning down the infantry of the enemy, like some of their main killing powers. It's being kept all the way back here. Look at this, like the Thracian Late Rumpire warriors, they are still far away from the engagement, so we are basically winning this battle here against the Thracian chosen Falksmen. We're getting heavy fire into that small area here, taking out all the enemies. They're slowly starting to rout as well, so we are winning here and there. We're having a few minor problems with the cavalry on this side, but all our numbers combined should be more than enough to win this. And here you can see the extreme numbers of the veteran player Gio D, who you have seen quite a few times on my channel already. And basically I'm gonna try to slow him down here. I see his infantry, they are out of formation, so we're gonna make a spicy charge here, hoping to catch them off guard. Same with the cavalry, just force them back, make sure they can't flank around into our side. Pulling back our cavalry here from these spears, because this target right here, that was quite juicy. Look at them, they're just falling down. Looking perfect in my eyes. Let's just pull that down a bit. We have our cavalry still forcing them back. Like, look at this. Keeping them away for as long as possible. Getting a nice charge here as well. One more time when they aren't braced. Could possibly have been better, but I'm fine with this. The cavalry keeps on harassing us, but we are surviving. We're stopping these guys from doing rear charges once again. Like, these guys were definitely preparing to make a charge in here, slowing them down. Our Kimbroz sword warriors, they're moving over here now to help take these guys out. Over here, our general is just moving around. The left flank is pretty much won already. Like, we are slowly taking out their cavalry. They're sending in just whatever they have left over here to slow us down. Like Thracian light spearmen, they can't do too much in this engagement over here. They're gonna be taken out pretty easily. Kimbroz sword warriors, they're trying to pull back, get a rear charge or something, but I didn't realize this. I think these Germanic heavy swordsmen, they will take the bait instead. Or actually the late Germanic elite swordsmen, they're coming in to help. That's good. These guys, they're gonna move over here to this side and help. As you can see now, this flank is pretty much getting overrun with everything they have. And we're gonna use Emperor's pikemen now to make this final line here, because these swordsmen here, they've done that job. They're keeping everything over here at bay. Like 2 units against all of this. We do have the cavalry as well, but they're just doing fake charges just to slow them down. They will not be forced into an engagement here. Like, look at this. Got a nice rear charge there, but they're just gonna pull back again behind the lines. So far it's looking very good for the Germanic players. This side is pretty much wrapped up now. You can see even more heavy fire moving in on these guys. Our Kimbroz nobles, they have gotten a few hundred kills now. Same for these guys, they have gotten 61. These heavy spearmen, they are holding on as well to like facing 2 units at once. And with a nice rear charge here from the light cavalry. This side here, we are doing alright. We have the Thracian infantry. We have 2 of them, 3 of them actually. We are just surviving over here. Have our Kimbroz sword warriors as well, just going around doing their thing, giving the scare ability, using it to full effect. And you can see it's working on the Dacian Falksmen. But as you can see now, it is looking very spicy over here. It's gonna be quite hard to survive this flank, especially with all the pushes, but this is exactly why we have these pikemen here, to slow down the enemy. These guys need to go all the way around to be effective, and that's gonna be it's gonna take a long time. And with that time, we can basically rev over the side here, which we already have done actually. Like these light spearmen, they're gone. Now it's all about Emperor getting back to the main fight with Nightingale and I to help us. He's done so well so far, especially with the help of Nightingale's cavalry as well. They've done an excellent job at winning this one flank. We are slowly winning in here as well in the center, and then we are gonna push over here. And a fun thing to think about actually is we deployed over here and then the other way around, so we basically swapped position. That's just the way battles go in this game. Perfect tactics. Here we can see the enemy, they are starting to push on our flank. We are putting some suppressing fire upon them. We're having spears to basically stop them from going in behind our lines and doing rear charges. And then our cavalry, we're gonna do something I thought was necessary here, because if these guys would get around here and do rear charges, it would be all over. They are basically going for our cavalry, so we're trying to get away, getting a few smart moves here to slow them down. I expect these guys to push for our archers, but the thing is, our Kimbroz archers, they have spears, so they are gonna survive a charge for quite a while actually. We do have a minor problem with the Thracian noble general here moving in, but we're just gonna do a counter charge. A bit too late, but hopefully we can take him out. Here we see even more units pushing around our flank, but this is the general. This is basically Gio's general, so I think this is like the perfect chance to split our cavalry and hopefully get a good charge upon them. Basically, these guys are gonna take out these guys, hold them down, while the other 2, they're gonna move around and pinch these guys here. Basically try to take them out. Emperor, he is moving back now as well, getting over here. He's slowly putting out these guys here. Getting chosen Sicabaras, like they are superb units and they are getting destroyed. Look at this, they have already lost well over 100 men. Not from that charge alone, but like from before this. Excellent. And some of our spears here in the front, they're starting to fall. The same with our Kimbroz sword warriors. They're still holding out, but it is gonna look quite juicy for them. Our Kimbroz nobles, they're moving forward as well now to slow down the enemy. Emperor, he's made a small little box here of his own to keep the rear safe for his pikes, keeping them alive. This basically forces the enemy to have his units outflank him and basically drawing away units from the main fight. The cavalry, they are pushing in on this side here, trying to take them out. Our spear is gonna move in to stop all these Falksmen and Thorian infantry. They are slowly routing, that's good. By now my cavalry, they are gone. it's not the best thing in the world because cavalry, they're like really good in the eye, they're like the best thing you can have. But the fact that we've slowed all of this down for so long, allowing us to take out all of this, I think it's worth it. It's a worthy sacrifice. We have our sword warriors, they're still pushing around over here. I'm probably, yeah, I believe I chose to draw them back. Like keep them safe because like they can do a great job at stopping the enemy from doing their advantage stuff, and we could even help break another area and make sure we would win that. Now Emperor, he's finally gonna come in here and help with our struggling fight here. Basically be our savior. Cavalry, they're moving around as well, taking out the last few units that they have left. Emperor's pikemen, they have engaged his archers, so that's fine as well. These Thorir, they are falling slowly. And now basically these sword warriors, their only purpose now is to block these guys from flanking around again. Forming up here, take down these Thorir spears. All the cavalry in the world, they're gonna try to get around, but it simply won't be enough. They did a few cavalry in behind that we already knew about, but we just simply couldn't do anything about it. And here we're gonna see them come in one final time. We have our spears trying to hold them down, maybe get a charge in on them, but they are gonna fall out of this engagement instead. They were trying to get a nice rear charge, but thankfully they weren't able to do it. And once again, we are winning on our left flank and basically trying to survive on the right. Thankfully, Emperor, his entire army was basically intact at this point here. Or his elites were. Our elites were still alive as well. Same for Nightingale, I believe. He had quite a few left. So we definitely had some nice infantry in for this final part here. And I'm sure they definitely helped us survive this because they're high morale, like 49 morale on all these guys here. That's excellent. We're gonna see some nice rear charges over here from our generals, helping taking out the enemy and opening up even more units to help us. We got a nice charge here on the Thracian general here because these guys here who formerly broke had returned and couldn't get a nice charge in. They did fall in the end, but again, maybe we actually killed the general there. I'm not sure. And as you can see, the balance of power has turned in our favor now. We have gained the upper hand. We are crushing them at this moment. It could still change depending on if all our units are getting blocked up and they could surround us. But by the looks of it, it's not gonna happen. We have all these units here, like the late Germanic elite warriors charging in on the elite Sigurd bearers, and they are not even alone. They're getting support from the King's Guard, from my Germanic Kimbroz nobles, the general, like heavy spears, archer fire, all of this. We have the Thracian player, or the Thracian player, he is basically routing now with all of his units. So we only have Gio remaining. The Germanic player, Lemgard, he has one unit remaining, so he is pretty much gone. He was the one, I believe it was either him or Emperor. I believe it was the, yeah. It is looking excellent at this very moment. Thracian late Romanian warriors, they are probably still have left, but they just charge straight into our pikes, so that's a nice engagement for us. That's exactly what we want. Them to fight into an extremely strong frontline unit. Over here on this side here, we have like my general and the Emperor's general trying to support each other just to make sure that they are not gonna die. In case all of this cavalry here, they're gonna engage him. So basically it's making sure that his general isn't gonna die from rear charges. Because if our generals die at this moment here, it could still change. Probably not now because we have all these men remaining, but we are barbarian factions nonetheless. You never know what can happen when our generals die. So basically he is trying to flank around here, but we use our abilities. He used his unique ability from Ariovistus, and basically we survived over here. This flank over here is just one massive blob against the elite Seeker Bearers with our Kimbroz nobles, noble cavalry, heavy swordsmen, medium spears, and Germanic longbows. So it's getting blobby over here, but basically all of their units are gone now. So by now it looks like we definitely have won the battle. It's just a matter of time now before the enemy units break. It's a valiant last stand by Gio. He is doing his best to survive. But as you can see now, his general is probably dead and every unit is starting to rout. And there we basically have it. Just the general standing and he is gone. That was the entire battle. It was a close victory, a very interesting battle as well. I enjoyed it a lot. And here you can see the kills. It was Nightingale who got the most kills, just barely getting a few more than Emperor. And that's very impressive with him having so few numbers actually. But his general and his cavalry fights were amazing. Same for his infantry, they did a very solid job at taking down these units here. I believe it was Lemgard who we fought on the... I believe it was Lemgard or Pope John who we actually made our ambush upon. I think it was Andre. And you can definitely see some of these units they didn't do as well as they probably would have hoped. Especially the cavalry here, because like these cavalry, they are dangerously strong. They're probably one of the most OP units in the game and could be very scary to fight against. Same for Pope's units. His cavalry here, they got pinned down by the Swaby Emperor, and his cavalry, they did a fine job, at least these guys did. For me, basically I was outnumbered most of the fight on the back foot, so I think, although I would have preferred to have more kills, I'm fine with this, especially when facing against this many players and this good players as well. Our nobles, they did a superb job. They were part of the killing force, whereas the spears and these swordsmen over here, the naked guys, they were all part of the defending part. These naked spearmen here, they did surprisingly well. The cavalry, yeah, that wasn't great, but they did an even more important job in actually scouting the arena, making sure the enemy, we knew exactly where they were and make sure they didn't do anything stupid or too strong to punish us. And overall, I think this battle was excellent. Our generals survived, all of them, barely taking kills or barely losing any men, apart from this general over here. But he was a spearman after all. Overall, a solid fight. These berserkers here, they were pretty much the main reason we won in that flank where we did with our ambush. Because they can just rout units, especially when they're a fellow barbarian faction. A very solid fight. I want to hear your opinion on this. What do you think about our armies? What do you think would have done better? Would you like to see more of these kinds of battles? And by the way, thanks again for Caesar's Forum for hosting this battle here, this tournament. But until next time, everybody, goodbye and spread happiness.